Sooner or later, we all have to make a proposal in our life. Some make business proposals, others make marriage proposals. I write research proposals, and in this video, I will teach you in 10 steps how to write a competitive proposal that will help you achieve your goal, whether it is for a PhD program, for a founding association, or a paper for your university. Hello everyone, I'm Ivan, I'm a PhD fellow at the University of Freiburg in Germany, and I'm the founder of the Empyreon Academy. So the first thing that you should know is that there are some guiding lines that you need to follow when you're writing a proposal. These guidelines are formal aspects that are necessary to know, but they are not sufficient to reach your goal. They are necessary because you have to learn the language of the people who are going to read your work. Since there's gonna be always a person who is reading your project, you have to write it in a way that it is understandable for everyone, besides your personal background and studies. Think of these formal aspects as some kind of keys to enter the door of success. However, as I said, these formalities are not enough to achieve your goal. And that's because at the very end, it's something that is requested to everyone. What is really going to distinguish your work is going to be the content and the way you wrote your proposal. In this video, I will first focus on those necessary aspects that you need to know when you're writing a proposal. Then I will share some tips regarding the content of your proposal, explaining what makes a general proposal a good proposal. Finally, at the end of this video, I will share what I believe is the true secret to write a successful project. Let's start with the formal aspects. So first of all, it's important to understand what a proposal is before writing one. In general, a proposal is a project or a working plan that you're writing for someone in order to get something in exchange. So if you think about it, at the very base, a proposal is just a sale, and what you're selling is your idea, your project, in exchange for a position, a good grade, or a founding association. Every proposal is potentially a good proposal. It doesn't really matter the topic that you choose. This is something very personal and it depends on each time on whoever you are presenting it to. What really matters is how you present this project, and by this I mean how strong are your ideas, how much you already know about it, how convincing you sound when you talk about it, and so on. Every proposal must have these fundamental parts. A cover page with the title and subtitle of your project. The title must be very catchy and grabs the attention of the person who is reading your proposal, but of course it must be related to the topic that you've chosen. The subtitle should better define your project. So let's say, for example, I want to work on a problem in the philosopher Nietzsche. A possible title might be The Death of God, which is a reference to one of his most important aphorisms. In this case, I would choose a subtitle that allows me to define better the idea behind this catchy title. And it could be, for example, the overcoming of the nihilism through the figure of the Übermensch, which is an important concept in Nietzsche. A table of contents for your proposal. This table of contents must have a reference to the pages so that the reader can orientate himself easily within your proposal. A brief introduction. You must keep in mind that the people who are reading your project are not always well informed about the topic that you've chosen. Even if they are important professors and they've studied for many years, they still haven't followed the same mental path that you follow in order to present this topic in this specific way. Therefore, you should always try to be as general as possible, at least at the very beginning, so that the reader has a clear idea of what your project is about since the very beginning. I would specifically recommend you to focus on 3 points when you're writing an introduction. The origin of your topic, so where did the idea come from? The reason, so why is it relevant? And the goal, so what exactly you are trying to achieve. The purpose of your proposal. So from this moment on, you're starting to be more and more specific about your work. The order of your work doesn't have to match perfectly the one that I am presenting you. I present it in this way because there is a logic behind it, namely the fact that I believe it's important since the very beginning for the reader to have clear where exactly the direction of your thoughts are going. So what is the purpose of your work? What are you trying to achieve? At this point, you're often asked to highlight the social and practical implications of what you're doing. Of course, if you're writing about a specific topic in the fields of humanities, this is gonna be harder and not so explicit as it is in the scientific fields. But behind every project there is always some kind of implications in the society, and you have to explicit them as much as you can. The content of your proposal. This is supposed to be the largest part of your work, as it is where you are presenting it officially. A bit more specifically, what it consists of is the structure of the project, why it's relevant, the hypothesis, your thesis, and the guiding questions of your research. The method. At this point, it's important to show how you intend to proceed with your research. If there are some specific inquiring perspectives that you're adopting, whether you're going to use particular theories or tools to proceed, which texts or articles you are focusing on, etc. The context of the debate. This point is crucial, and it is harder in the humanities fields, because you are required to present overall an original work. By the context of the debate, indeed, it's usually meant all the research that's been done already about the project that you are selecting, and in which sense your own project differs from this previous research. For some topics that are very popular, this aspect could be very hard. Nevertheless, you have to try to read as much as you can about the topic that you're choosing and try to present at least your idea in the most original way. Because it doesn't have to be something that nobody ever talked about, but it could be also an original idea or a certain aspect that nobody has done in a certain way until now. Hypothetical structure of the work. By this I mean a schematic presentation of the structure of your work, divided into chapters or paragraphs if you already have them available. Of course, it doesn't have to be so precise, and of course you can change it later. But it is important to write this scheme at the very beginning, because it helps you to orientate your own thoughts and your own research through the years. Literature. Here you need to make a list of all the works that you're planning to consult during your studies. Typically, this is divided into primary literature and secondary literature. The primary is the one that focuses on the classic authors, and the secondary literature is all the critics that has been writing about the topic that you pick. Work plan. This is usually requested for a PhD position or a scholarship. You need to show how you're planning to work in the next 3, 4, 5 years, depending on what you're applying for. I would personally split it between 3 and 6 months, explaining in each of this section what exactly are you planning to do, if you're planning to write articles or participate to conferences and so on. Regarding the content of your work, I would suggest you to follow these 3 criteria. Select a clear and well-defined topic. Ask yourself first, what exactly do I want to work on? Try to avoid choosing a too generic topic, as you're risking to talk about many things and not completing any of them. Also, try to not pick a too abstract topic, as it is going to be harder to defend it and ground your ideas. Formulate a clear thesis. Ask yourself, what exactly do I want to say about the topic that I picked? The risk here, if you don't formulate a clear thesis, is to not be able to assert anything at the very end of your work, but simply have reworked a certain topic. This formulation is crucial at the very beginning, because it's the one that helps you to orientate your work. Often people begin to work and they wait to formulate their thesis later. But this is a big mistake, because you're not able to direct your studies towards this thesis that you have formulated at the very beginning. Adopt a clear and consistent structure. If you follow precisely the first 2 steps, namely the selection of the topic and the thesis, the structure of your work should naturally represent them. It has to be clear and intuitive, even for a person unfamiliar with your work. The reader should understand what you're working on just by looking at the structure of your work. In a perfect work, the structure and its inner divisions should contain your thesis and the topic. The structure should also follow a logical order, and it has to be fairly balanced. And I mean by this that there shouldn't be a chapter that is 60 pages long and another that is 20 pages long. They have to be more or less even. I've already talked in another video about the procedure to apply for a PhD position, specifically in Germany and Italy. So I won't repeat myself here, but I will leave a link in the description for those who are interested. Here I want to share with you what I believed allowed me to secure my PhD position successfully. The competition in general is very tough, and there is some people who have great projects. So what you can do to compete with them? The key is knowing what you're talking about. In other words, work on something that you've already had the chance to explore. If you have to start your work from scratch and you're honest with yourself, without copying from others and just writing what you truly understood, then the research phase that precedes the writing of your proposal will be truly long and challenging. I personally wrote my proposal based on the results of my master thesis, and it took me between 3 and 6 months. If you have to start everything from scratch, it will surely take you longer. I strongly advise against writing something that you haven't truly understood, because it will show in your proposal and you risk to miss an opportunity. I admit that the system seems a bit paradoxical because you are supposed to know something that you actually are willing to work on, but unfortunately this is how it works. You don't have to know everything, but at least the context, the direction and the possible outcomes, yes. If you follow these steps, you'll greatly increase your chances to have a successful project. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Ivan and this is Empyreon, the Academy of Philosophy and Fine Arts. Every proposal must have these fundamental parts.